Today we have a panel of guests. We'll just straight dive into our discussion on Australia and India, the final playing there. Paul Dinette, our friend from Australia, joins us right now, and maybe get him on the call right away. Paul, happy to have you there. Were there jitters last night when you saw Australia just squandering their advantage?
Hey, Sunil. G'day, everyone. I thought last night was one of the most enjoyable, tense, thrilling games of cricket I've ever seen. I was so excited the entire match, and it was the very best of one-day cricket. I thought that South Africa fought really hard after the disastrous opening, and there was many times that I thought actually South Africa were going to win the game. I've now been up till 4 a.m. both the last two nights because the time difference doesn't help me much here in Sydney, so I'm looking even more wrinkled than usual. But wow, it was worth it. I can assure you of that.
Well, absolutely. Tasmin, what do we have on the update for this? And if you have David Brooks also with us, has he joined us?
Yeah, definitely, so I'm pretty sure Paul might just have a thing or two to say to me as well today, but I appreciate you, Paul, for skipping over that part. And good day to you all out here in India as well. I'm definitely disappointing for South Africa. Never had enough on the board, never got off to the greatest start with the ball in hand as well. But all props go down to Australia. It's good to see their seam bowling department finally coming to the show. Mitchell Starc, as well as everybody that's just contributed around him. Travis Head being that surprise bowler that just decided to show up on the day. And I think, they'd be liking their odds against India tomorrow, but not taking away the fact that India's in great form, India's in great touch. They still have not shown a chink in their armor up until this stage. Maybe a few cramps here and there in the dressing room, but it's nothing a couple of days rest won't fix out for them. Looking up to a couple of matchups as well, you have the likes of their top five currently sitting very high up on the rankings, and it's not shocking to say Mohammad Shami finds himself heading into the final as the leading bowler, highest wicket taker for this current tournament right now.
Well, absolutely. Current tournament right now. Regis, we have another guest with us. Regis, if you can hear us, welcome to the show. What are your initial thoughts about this biggest final, the biggest clash of ODI in the history? Your views.
Thank you for having me on the show. So, it's definitely, a really exciting final on our hands on Sunday. And I think, going into it with the way that India have played this whole World Cup so far, they're certainly going in as the favorites, I think. And, they haven't really shown any struggle so far in the whole tournament. And they certainly will be, they're certainly favorites at this stage. And, having said that, Australia had a really good game yesterday, though they started a little bit with in the chase somewhere along that middle. But I thought they really came out strong, and they will be really confident as well coming into this final.
Regis, as a cricketer, as a former international cricketer, what do you think? You fancied the chances of South Africa even when they were the chips were down? They had small, meager total on the board that evening yesterday.
I thought that initially the start that Australia had would have, dampened them down a little bit. But credit to them, they kept coming hard and picking up 1-2 quick wickets. They certainly would have been a bit more confident, as they tried to stop the Australians there. But I thought as they went, they probably in the end were maybe 30 runs short, of what they would have really needed to be in order to really put Australia under the pump in the end.
Well, that's very interesting. Paul, just wanted to understand, things were going really well. The spin was going really sharp. The pitch was turning. Aussies were having jitters last night. Do you think when they go into the final, they'll play on their mind?
No, I don't think it'll play on their mind. I just think that in the final, they'll know that they're up against an amazing side. I mean, India, they have 11 match winners. You can have good periods against India, but it's just so hard to consistently get over the top of them. They remind me a bit of Rafael Nadal on the clay at the French Open. You might be able to win a set, but to win a match, you kind of got to have everything go right. And it's not impossible. I mean, I think that the bookmakers at the moment in Australia and around the world have basically India a 2 in 3 chance and Australia a 1 in 3 chance, and that's probably about right. So, Australia could yet spoil the party.
Well, that was an interesting point. But yeah, when was the last time you saw 11 match winners in a game?
Good question. I'd probably say from an Australian perspective, that Australian side of the sort of around about the 2006 period, that was, I'd love to get a time machine and be able to get them, the West Indies of the mid-1980s and the current Indian side to have a three-way series in all forms of cricket. That would be pretty cool. And I think that, the Australian side, this current Australian side has got a lot of match winners as well. And I think that their attitude last night was really impressive. I like that Regis' point around the fact that the Aussies went so hard early and kind of broke the back of the chase. I think another Australian side of a previous era would have erred on the side of being too sensible. Yeah. And when the spinners came on, they would have found it too difficult and they would have been too far behind. So I thought that the opening burst from Head and Warner was quite decisive.
Well, absolutely. Now this question goes to Regis. Regis, you've played on all pitch conditions. Just wanted to ask you, how do you go into a match where you have 11 match winners and you have one of the best off spinner in the world actually sitting in the dugout as one of the extras? Now, what is the image that comes to your mind when you go into the toss, when you go into a final with a team like that? What worries you? Regis.
I think that you really have to back yourself when you find the odds stacked a little bit against you like that. No doubt the Australians will be thinking about how India is really a dominant force at this point in time, but they'll be carrying a lot of confidence as well. They've got all the right ingredients as well. Within their lineup. You talk of Warner, Head, Mitch Marsh. Literally everyone in that lineup, Stoinis, and the Big Show, and so they'll be very confident going into the final as well. So I think they'll be looking to play aggressive cricket as usual and really try and take it on to the Indians.
Absolutely. Do you think the question goes to Tasneem Granger? Tasneem, we've watched this thing from the first match till the penultimate match together. Do you think this is the best Indian side you've seen?
Yeah, I think definitely for probably as long as I've played as well. They've been written off in the ODI game for quite a while. And like you said, they've been playing a lot of T20 and T20 franchise cricket. But this team for me is just spectacular. I want to just give you something on their bowling as well. I like to prove things based by stats as well. And if you look at the most economical bowlers so far, you have Ashwin sitting at the top, who's sitting on the bench for a start.
Come again. Throw some stats about how good he's bowled, how many overs he's got.
Definitely, you've got Jasprit Bumrah sitting there for you as well with an economy rate of 3.98. This is your most economical bowlers. I'd say in the current rankings, Bumrah's first for me. And not too far behind him again, you have Jadeja sitting on 4.25 economy. Under Jadeja, you have Virat Kohli coming in at 4.28. Just below Virat Kohli, you have Kuldeep Yadav again sitting at 4.32. This is everybody and averaging under 5 for an economy in the longer version as well.
We've got our friend back from London, David Brooks. David?
Yes, hello. Good morning to you. Good day to you all from Brighton.
Absolutely. From Brighton, we welcome you. Just wanted
Sussex.
to Well, is this the best Indian side you've seen? And have you applied for Indian citizenship, considering you've been cheering for India for a long, long time?
I would love Indian citizenship. Nothing would be prouder than to wake up on Sunday morning as an Indian looking forward to this fantastic event. I can't think of a bigger cricketing event in my lifetime than this final between India and Australia. It's got everything. I mean, what is there not to like? Anyone who is not moved or excited by the prospect of this match, you're missing something. Honestly, it's the biggest cricketing occasion I've covered.
As an Englishman, throw some punches at the Aussie, the friend of yours who's waiting on the other hand. What are the chinks that they have in their armor? What are the...
The problem is,
Yeah.
they can take the punches. They take the punches, then they keep getting back up.
Yes.
You can punch them and give them a good punching.
Well, it
then
reminds...
they get back up and they clobber you when you're not expecting it.
It reminds us of the Chumbawamba song, I get knocked out, but I get up again. You'll never see walking me down. Is that what the basic sense, the DNA of Australia has been? Paul, what do you think? This is the knockout and then getting up stronger every time they're on the rings. Paul Dinette.
It's a national myth that we kind of tell ourselves that we're like that. You hear Matthew Hayden in commentary, he's kind of telling the world that that's the way that we are. And the interesting thing has been that there has been some criticism from the old Australian players that this side is different because they don't have the kind of snarling, in-your-face mentality. There was a bit of talk that maybe they weren't going as hard as they should in training and everyone was a bit too friendly. So I've been really pleased to see the way that Pat Cummins has I think he's proven his critics wrong regardless of what happens on Sunday, because even if Australia lose, and it'll be very disappointing, there'll be a feeling, oh, well, they came up against a fantastic Indian side. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I'll be kicked out of the country. I should be more aggressive, shouldn't I? But I think that Pat Cummins is starting to win over even the doubters that some Australians that didn't like him. He's starting to win them over.
Absolutely. David Brooks, what makes Australia so strong in terms of their batting, their bowling, or is it their mentality of losing the first two matches of the World Cup, being sidelined and not giving any favoritism from the bookmakers or the pundits? They come back and they keep scoring better and they keep getting better. What is it? Is it how do you describe that thing?
I think you're right, Sunil. I think it is their mentality. It's their thought processes. They don't think about losing. They just think about how can we win this match. They outsmarted South Africa yesterday.
Yes.
And what Paul is saying about Pat Cummins, I love his captaincy. Yes, he's not a snarling, in-your-face Ricky Ponting character. And I don't mind that. I like him a lot. In fact, this is, dare I say it, a very likeable Australian team, with the exception of one or two players I could mention who are close to retirement. But the sort of new crop do seem to be very good. And the day that the Australian authorities come round to Paul's house and remove him from his couch for criticising Australia, that would be a sad day. We want to see Paul on that couch until Australia lift the trophy. But you might be waiting a long time for that. But India will know they've been in a match on Sunday because Australia play smart cricket. They work the percentages. They take their catches. They're filled with intensity. They bowled but better than they've done for a long time. But ultimately, that game with South Africa was decided on who was the smarter captain. And Pat Cummins emerged way ahead of Bavuma, who made some elementary mistakes in terms of not bringing back Rabada at the end and even playing himself. Tasman's been saying he should have had the courage to stop himself.
David, we've got a newcomer in our team today, and Regis, the international former player from Zimbabwe. We'll get his last word, and we will continue our discussion on the watch-along, on the sidestep of cricket, where an Aussie will be happy to take a go at an Englishman, and the umpire would be a Zimbabwean current cricketer.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.